Scholars have increasingly been turning to social media to connect and contribute to their research community. On Twitter, for example, they highlight their research, get feedback on their writing, ask for advice, and share resources. They do all of this in less than 140 characters. But while more scholars are using social media over time, we don't have a generalized understanding of how they use these technologies. Therefore, we developed a study that asked 3 research questions. First, how do professors and graduate students in education use Twitter? Second, which hashtags do they contribute to? Third, what factors predict how many followers someone has? But first, we needed a way to identify education professors and students. To identify people to include in our sample, we extracted all the profile details of the individuals who participated in the conference hashtag for the 2014 American Educational Research Association conference. Next, we read every individual's profile information and coded them as students or faculty. We identified 237 professors and 232 graduate students. Using the Twitter API, we then collected each person's latest 3,500 tweets and each person's background information. We examined these details to help us understand the ways they participate on Twitter, the content they shared, and their similarities, differences, and identities as scholars. Here's what we found. Over half of tweets posted by education scholars mentioned other users. About a quarter were replies to other users. And fewer than 30% of tweets were retweets. 37% of the tweets included a hashtag, and about 31% included a hyperlink. We also found that when compared to students, professors had more followers, were included in lists created by others more often, and included more links in their tweets. Next, we examined the hashtags these scholars used. Hashtags can tell us about the online community scholars participate in, which in turn can help us better understand scholars' identities online. While most hashtags were used by only 1 or 2 scholars, we identified 136 hashtags that were used the most. Some hashtags, like @chat, related to education. Others, like Black Lives Matter, were about civil rights or social justice. And some, like Follow Friday, were part of general internet culture. Third, to help us understand whether social media metrics, such as follower count, are appropriate measures of scholarly influence, we looked at the factors that impacted how many followers a user had. People who had the most followers had typically been on Twitter longer, posted more tweets, followed more people, and identified themselves as professors rather than students. Our findings provide insight into a number of areas. 3 key ones are the following: participation equity, differences based on roles, and scholars' online participation. First, many believe that social media platforms like Twitter provide a more egalitarian space for scholarly practices. However, our work shows that there is significant variation in how scholars participate on Twitter. Reaching a large audience on social media is dependent on a number of factors unrelated to the quality of one's scholarly work. We need to remember that these online spaces can be manipulated. Some scholars may be more capable to exploit the commons than others. Second, results show that professional roles impact participation. For example, our analysis showed that professors tended to have more followers than students did, they use hashtags more frequently, and they seemed more comfortable posting on possibly controversial topics like civil rights. Future research should explore whether participation differences exist based upon other demographic factors such as gender, race, and age. Finally, and third, while scholars do use Twitter as a way of participating in the scholarly community, the hashtags they use are diverse and extend well beyond traditional scholarship. When investigating scholars' online participation, we need to remember that scholarship is only a fragment of what academics do online. To fully understand academics and students' online participation, we need to look beyond just scholarly activities. A more detailed explanation of these implications can be found in the published paper. Thanks a lot for tuning in. If you liked this summary, please share it with your colleagues, friends, and students.